Hello, it's me, Richard, Los Angeles, California. I wanted to do a video on XRP. This could take about half an hour long, just to let you know that it will take about half an hour long. But XRP, to me, is potentially could shoot the moon after the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission's lawsuit against Ripple. The reason why Ripple Laboratory, which owns, developed the XRP token, they got sued December of last year by the SEC because the SEC believes that the Ripple or the XRP coin was touted as an investment vehicle, more like a security instrument. So, but it had a long history because, XRP had been around for at least 10 years. But I wanted to first talk about the market cap. And I got to get this as a message on this video. Prior to January this year, I'm going to talk about my philosophy right now, and hear me out. I'm just doing it for your own good, what you're getting into if you invest in cryptos, and what my strategy is. So I'll talk about that, and then second I'll do the XRP. So crypto has been around 10 years, okay, 10 or give or take. It really has not taken off since this year, and the reason is that we had the current situation, which placed a lot of people in their homes, lost jobs, unfortunately, and the second paradigm, or the shift in the paradigm, was that we've got several $1 trillion stimulus from the government, which flooded the whole economy with money, and people either bought food, paid rent, paid bills, or they put it in. They went to Vegas, blew it in Vegas, or they put it into cryptos and bought stocks with it, and that's what really drove this crypto market. And just maybe about 3 months ago, if you look at the coin market cap, it's about 2.1. It's approaching $2.1 trillion in money, in universal money. We've got 11,519 coins out, classes of coins. And when I started doing videos months ago, about 4 or 5 months ago, it was about 5,000. So it's doubled, and it's growing, as well as the market cap. So you have to look at it at a micro level. You've got to look at it. You've got to look at the market cap, how much money is going in there, because you can see that it could be $886 billion. But then again, the coin could be trading $2 or $3. So, if the market cap is so large, it does not mean necessarily that the coin is going to trade at 47,000, and vice versa. It could be $50 million market cap, and the coin could be trading $200 a unit. So, but you still have to look at it to understand the growth trajectory, and that's what you do in stocks. And you look at all variables in stocks. So about 3 months ago, I think the market cap was about 1.3 trillion, and we've got $700 billion going into this in just the last 3 months. Where is this money coming from? I just cannot answer that. I don't see other YouTubers asking these questions. Where is this money coming from? You can't just simply say that it's Wall Street, because Wall Street, if they're into cryptos, they do want to get into cryptos. But when they get into it, they're investing disposable income, let's say, maybe 50 million, 100 million, and it's basically targeted towards Bitcoin. And then we're starting to see them foray into other cryptos. So that being said, it's starting to grow, and you can get rich. I watched one channel. There's a real estate investor in Florida. One of his viewers had mentioned that he made $800,000 on Dogecoin. I myself had 185,000 units in Dogecoin in January, and unfortunately, I sold it, and I thought the max that it could ever do was 10 cents a unit, and instead it went up to 70 cents, and it will hit $1. And it could grow higher than $1 because blockchains morph, they change, they morph into better utilization. So it doesn't stay the same. And we're just starting to see this birth of the crypto world, and it's gaining a lot of attention from the SEC, from governments all over the world, as well as investors. We talk about the United States, but also in Asia. It's really big in Asia and also in India. And, there's large populations, and they're just starting to get into it. And they have their own limitations. Their limitations could be the internet speeds they're working in, a computer, access to computers, paying for internet services, having the money. And but as traction gains popularity with the crypto world, you're going to see that this market cap will go higher. And I was very skeptical. I did not like crypto in January, and I'm old school. I'm actually a baby boomer. But I'm a very quick thinker, and saying that I myself want to invest all that I got into crypto, currently into the next year. And basically, I want to buy and hold. And even if I see that it peaks, and cryptos can go up to $100 like Solana is doing, but then it can go back down, and it's done that with Bitcoin. So I don't know when I will sell, but I do plan to hold for another 2 years, and ultimately it's for financial independence. Like I said, this other person had mentioned that he made $800,000 with Dogecoin. As a viewer on this real estate investor in Florida. And another person, an employee, actually turned his resignation in with some banking firm in the UK, United Kingdom, and he made a fortune on Dogecoin. If I had understood crypto, I would not have sold Dogecoin, and I would have scraped everything that I could get my hands on in January and put it all into Dogecoin at least. I didn't understand it. I really didn't. And I'm watching YouTube, learning, and I'm getting a better understanding. To me, this is all horse race, and it's just gambling. I don't care about smart contracts and staking and all of that. To me, it's pointless. The NFTs is gaining popularity. Solana is they're mooning Solana, largely due to the NFT, because Solana has a fast processing speed of, I think, 50,000 cycles per second or a minute. And then Bitcoin is slow. It's 4 or 5 cycles per second. So, I don't understand why Bitcoin's got all the hype and it's a top dog in the crypto world when these other blockchains, and I've said this before, they morph and they're a lot superior to Bitcoin. So I'm going to stop there. I don't want to bore you, but you got to stay with me. You know, people have these. This is the problem with cryptos and investors, and a lot of people on YouTube that watch these YouTube channels. You watch it and you want to get you have a short attention span, and there's it doesn't happen in minutes. So then you kind of miss out on some details that I might have in my video. But, if you have the patience to follow my channel, subscribe to my channel, hit the like button. I'm not advising you to invest. I'm just purely sharing with you my education and my life experiences. And you can take it or leave it. I'm just trying to help you out with some real advice here, so you don't at least get burned. I mean, just go into it with my advice. One of the things that I never shrugged away is free advice. I never shrugged it away. And 40 years ago, I used to deliver liquor in Hollywood. And I got the best advice from alcoholics. The best advice. Better than going to college and getting a bachelor's of science degrees. And I remember a customer that I delivered to is a very, very nice customer. And he was alcoholic, and I can't say no. I'm not going to give you this alcohol. You need help. I can't do that. But he told me, Richard, what are you doing delivering for a liquor store? When you should be going to college, get your bachelor's degree. And that stuck with me. So I did eventually get a bachelor's of science degree in finance, and I've got upper level accounting courses. And that's something that no one can take away from you. When a country invades another country, the first thing that they go after is the college elite. And then second, they go after their treasures, including oil paintings. So I say that because having a college degree is very important in my world, and it separates you from the population. And so again, I don't shrug away free advice, and I'm giving you free advice. So anyways, stay with me. I get views on my channel, but no one is hitting the like button or subscribing. But I'll stop my rant, and I'll go into XRP. The reason why I like XRP, and it's gambling. It's trading at $1.18, and you can see that it's climbing. Today, it's going up. I don't have money, but I do plan to pump $1,000 into XRP this Friday. I do see this taking off over $10, and I'll tell you why. Again, this is going to be a long video. Okay, so XRP. I want to talk about Brightburn Energy. Okay, and it's a similar comparison to XRP. Okay, so Brightburn Energy used to be located in downtown Los Angeles. It's an oil refinery. It's an oil refinery. They drill oil. There's an oil drilling in Texas, and they're located in downtown Los Angeles, and they also have headquarters in Houston, Texas. They changed their name to Maverick Natural Resources. Okay, I'm going to close this out. What Brightburn did is that they
So Brad, let's dive right in. You're being sued by...
So Brightburn filed for bankruptcy. They had about $1.2 billion of debt on their balance sheet. And the lawsuit, Chapter 11, occurred in New York City. And the SEC was involved because Brightburn Energy was traded on the stock exchange on NASDAQ. So their stock used to do like, I think $26 a share, even more. I think it was like $40. It was doing really, really well. And then when they declared Chapter 11, which there was a lot of fraud involved because the futures on oil, the futures were like $60. And at the current time then, it went down to $10 a barrel. And they could have been stopped in their tracks because the futures were, $40 to $60 a barrel. So why did it continue? Again, there's so much fraud with the SEC. And I don't want to bore you with all this shenanigans that was going on with the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but there was a thread on Yahoo Finance, and it had a lot of information there, and it lasted more than 2 years. Normally, Chapter 11s would be wrapped up in about a year's time. So this is what I'm getting at. The stock dropped from $26 to $40 down to 2 cents. 2 cents while the Chapter 11 bankruptcy was going on. And I'm having problems with my phone. So if the bankruptcy did not conclude, then that stock that was still viable, trading at less than a penny, would have taken off. Although it would have still had to face its billion-dollar debt, there was potential for the stock to go higher than 50 cents and $1. So when it's trading at less than 1 cent and you buy all in, and if the bankruptcy did not conclude as well as they were expecting, you can make a fortune in this. And that is what happened with the stock market back in 1929. There was a lot of hope with the manipulators buying stocks so cheap because everybody was dumping it, that once it recovered, the ones that got into the stocks so when it was so depressed, once it recovered, you can become a millionaire overnight. So this is the thing with XRP. I'm making an analogy here with Brightburn and how the bankruptcy works. So anyways, Brightburn did get their Chapter 11 concluded, and the common stock was wiped out. So everybody that bought stocks lost money in it. Funny enough, they were able to get $1 billion line of credit after the Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And, I'm just like so kind of upset over the situation because there were an attorney that was representing the SEC, and then she resigned and she was hired on board by one of the opposing counsel in the bankruptcy case. So, I'm not going to start there. But anyways, the same thing with XRP. Okay, so with XRP, they're being sued by the SEC. If the SEC cannot challenge Ripple Labs and make their case stick, and you buy at $1 right now, if they drop their case, or if it doesn't finish well for SEC, you can see Ripple take off, because the blockchain on Ripple, it's about 10 years old. And let me read this article to you. 9 years ago, a startup that would eventually be called Ripple Labs came onto the fintech scene with a promising plan to provide financial institutions with fast, low-cost clearance of trans-border money transfers. To make it happen, the company set up a network on which transactions spread across the globe in the form of cryptocurrencies called XRP, which was specially created for that task. But thanks to its eventual popularity outside of that application, XRP has turned out to be sort of a time bomb with a very long fuse for Ripple. That bomb finally went off last year when the SEC filed suit against Ripple and its current and former CEOs, claiming that selling XRP constituted the offering of an unregistered security, essentially an illegal IPO. As the case drags on with no clear resolution yet in sight, Ripple legal woes have become emblematic of the murky regulation enveloping digital currencies, reflecting the mismatch between laws largely developed during the Great Depression and today's burgeoning fintech ecosystem. While opinions differ on whether the SEC has a strong case against Ripple, almost everyone agrees that the underlying problem is the lack of clarity over how cryptocurrencies can be regulated in ways that don't sabotage the industries or unfairly target companies and investors who may have had little way of knowing they were running afoul of regulators. It's now been more than a decade since the new asset class has been around, and yet we start to focus on creating regulations targeted to it, said Carol Goforth, a professor at the University of Arkansas School of Law who studies cryptocurrencies. See, that's what I'm saying. You know, crypto's been around 10 years, and then the SEC, 10 years later, it's got to stick their muddy feet into this market. And the same thing happened in 1929 when a lot of Americans lost their homes. They went hungry. It disrupted families, a lot of suffering and death. And then the SEC was created in 1934. Why did it have to take 5 years for the government to step in? I understand the federal government, the wheel is big and it moves slow. But come on, guys. I mean, seriously, this could have been handled in a lot more professional and, I don't know. I don't know the words for this. I don't know. It's just, I'm not a fan of the SEC, although I do believe there has to be regulations in the cryptos world. There's a lot of scams going out there. And I did say this before, 80%, 90% out there of the players are criminals, a criminal base. So here, I'll continue to read the article. Here's why crypto investors are watching this case so closely and what it could mean for the rest of the industry. Okay, I'm going to post the link down here, but I wanted to go over the video. And let's see what Ripple have to say about their lawsuit. It's 18 minutes long.
By the SEC right now, they are claiming that XRP, which is a cryptocurrency that has a lot of relationships with Ripple, the company that you're in charge of, they're claiming that it's a security and that Ripple has been selling it illegally to investors by not registering it first. Catch us up. What is the state of the lawsuit right now? And, how long is this going to drag out? What does it mean for Ripple investors and XRP investors?
So, Bob, good to see you. Good to be here. And I think one of the key things you said in your question is you said XRP is a cryptocurrency. And I think, there's been a whole bunch of things that have happened in the history. In the Obama administration, the Treasury Department refers to XRP as a currency. I think that Mary Jo White, who is a former chair of the SEC, came out and very publicly said that the SEC is dead wrong on this point. But I think as the court case progresses, what we'll find is that the SEC is wrong on the facts, they're wrong on the law. But I do think it's an important question because, to be a little bit cheeky, I think there really are ripple effects from the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple and against myself and against Chris Larson. And when the lawsuit was first filed, which I will remind people was, almost the day before Christmas and the day before Jay Clayton, as the chair of the SEC, left office, that literally right then I tweeted out kind of this is an attack on crypto at large. And you may know, last week, Jake Clayton was interviewed on CNBC and started talking about the need for Bitcoin regulation. And it's clear that the SEC under Jake Clayton took a very anti-crypto point of view, which I don't think is good for the whole industry, particularly for those actors who have, I think, sought to work with regulators constructively and transparently.
I want to note, you mentioned Mary Jo White. She is on the payroll of Ripple, right? She's on the board. Is that right?
No, she's not on the board. We have a robust board of many of our former regulators, government people. But Mary Jo White is our outside counsel. But I think it says a lot, the fact that Mary Jo White, as the former chair of the SEC, takes clients. She can get a lot of different clients, and the fact that she took this case, I think, is indicative of how she thinks about the law on this and how she thinks about the facts.
So you've described this as an attack on the crypto industry at large. You've said that there are ripple effects that are going to ripple out and cause maybe a chilling effect on the broader industry. Elaborate on that for us here. What does that mean? What damage will this lawsuit do to crypto at large?
Well, I think ultimately it won't do that damage, because I think that, as we've already seen, I think that the trend line has been positive for the court case, and so I don't think it will do the damage. I think Ripple's likely to prevail. In fact, but my own personal point of view is that as a new leadership team at the SEC comes in, there'll be an opportunity to have a constructive dialogue about how do we move forward in context of where the industry is today. I think well, XRP, as one of the cryptocurrencies that has a lot of liquidity, has traded openly for about 8 years. Over $1 trillion of XRP has traded through different currencies around the world. And other parts of the U.S. government have referred to XRP as a currency. In fact, it's an interesting nugget that the United States is the only country on the planet that has suggested XRP is a currency. That XRP is a security. You have other G20 markets, whether it's the UK, whether it's Switzerland, Japan, Singapore, parts of the Middle East. They have all been very explicit that they view XRP as a currency. And so, I think we will get to resolution around this. I'm hopeful that we get to that sooner rather than later. But if we do have to go all the way to a neutral fact finder and have a judge make a determination, I'm very optimistic about how that will play out.
You're optimistic. You mentioned that things have been going well recently in terms of the proceedings of the lawsuit. But it makes me wonder, what happens to Ripple, what happens to XRP if it does not go in your favor?
Well, look, and I talked about this a little bit when the lawsuit was first filed. Ripple today is already a very global company. Well over 90% of our customers are non-U.S. customers. At the time the SEC filed the lawsuit, about 95% of XRP liquidity, XRP trading, happened outside the United States. Today, obviously, it's closer to 100% of XRP trading happens outside the United States. Although I will point out that because the SEC has not been clear, there are players like Uphold here in the United States that you can still buy and sell XRP. So the point being that regardless of where the SEC ends up, which again I'm quite confident about, but look, Ripple's a very global company, and we serve the vast majority of the activity across RippleNet, our payments network. Is non-U.S. activity. I'll also point out that even since the SEC has filed their lawsuit, we have signed over 20 new contracts with financial institutions around the world. So, now I will point out none of those have been here in the United States. And I think ultimately that's why I go back to this is an attack on crypto here in the United States. There are lots of players in the crypto industry that have chosen to set up and domicile outside the United States. And I think one of the worst things that can happen, and I say this as a U.S. citizen and being based here in the United States, is this isn't good for the crypto industry here domestically. You and I both probably remember, the earliest days of the internet. Having clear regulatory dynamics allowed investment, allowed entrepreneurs to come in, and really the internet in the earliest days was born here in the United States partly because of that certainty and that clarity. The fact that the United States SEC took steps to drive this activity, this innovation outside the United States, I think is counterproductive.
So since the lawsuit, you mentioned that your clients have moved even more global. I mean, you were heavily international beforehand, but now you're even more so as a result of this. Where are you seeing the biggest uptick? Where are you signing deals in the world?
Well, the two markets I'll highlight, I mean, one, Southeast Asia has always been a very strong market for us where the friction associated with cross-border payments has been high. You have a lot of cross-border activity. And so Southeast Asia has been a strong market for us. At one point, I think about 40% of the activity across the RippleNet network, which, as we talked publicly about, is now in billions of dollars of transactions. Another market is the Middle East and North Africa, which also has, whether you're talking about Saudi Arabia and as a corridor into India, you have lots of migrant workers. At the end of the day, Ripple has been very focused on making sure we're solving a real problem for real customers. And migrant workers is clearly, and remittances is clearly a very high friction and expensive payment mechanism. And so partnering with our customers, we're able to make that much more efficient.
So if the U.S., in your opinion, is not pursuing crypto the right way from a regulatory perspective, where in the world is? Is there anywhere that is the sort of leading light, the shining beacon of having figured this regulatory situation out? Where would you point?
Well, the first thing I'll say is any country that has provided clarity and certainty I view as ahead of the United States. The lack, there's a Department of Justice report, came out, I think it was end of Q3, maybe early Q4 last year. And it referenced 8 different jurisdictional interests in crypto. And, so here in the United States, you got a lot of different trying to figure it out. The UK certainly has been a leader here with their Token Taxonomy Act. Certainly Singapore has been a leader. The MAS, their financial regulator. Japan, without a doubt, has been a leader. And I'd also highlight Switzerland. All, pretty major economies that have provided clarity and certainty that has allowed entrepreneurs, that have allowed investors to come in and invest in these assets and build new companies to solve problems for customers.
So we're a few months into the new administration now. Since Biden has taken over, we've had a few new appointments across the board. You mentioned that Clayton's on his way out at the SEC, and we have someone new, Gary Gensler, who actually a lot of cryptocurrency industry insiders look to as somebody who's quite knowledgeable and knows this space pretty well. What is your impression of him and of how he's going to steer the ship at the SEC?
Look, I think Gary Gensler is very knowledgeable about blockchain technologies, about digital assets. And so I think, in that context, I'm actually very confident. Anytime you're working with someone, to the extent they have knowledge, to the extent they have awareness, then you can have kind of a constructive conversation about the nuances that do exist in this industry. That was very difficult in Jay Clayton's SEC. And so I think I'm optimistic about his leadership and as he brings in his new team.
Is there anything you want to see pass? Any bills related to digital currency to clarify, what's going on? Is there anything that's bubbled up that, you think is good and should be approved?
Well, again, I'll start with clarity and certainty is good. And part of the irony here is the SEC bringing a lawsuit saying, hey, we should have known all along that XRP is a security, when in fact they haven't even known all along that XRP is a security. But look, I think one of the pieces of legislation introduced in the last session of Congress was called the DCEA, the Digital Commodity Exchange Act. And the point of the DCEA was to provide that clarity and certainty from a legislative point of view. Using enforcement, SEC using enforcement to try to rule make, that's not really how the SEC was supposed to be set up to make rules. There is a rulemaking process where they will put proposals forward and have the community comment, which I think is a much more constructive way to approach that. But that's the one that I would highlight that was introduced the last legislative session. And I'm hopeful, again, that as legislative bodies understand these technologies and how the United States SEC is actually pushing innovation outside the United States, that you'll see action to address that. So
I'd like to get at something a little bit more existential about Ripple and about XRP. XRP was created sort of before there was this proliferation of stable coins, of cryptocurrencies that are intended to be non-volatile, to be used as a mechanism for payments, and also kind of before this boom in central bank digital currencies got really hot. What is the place for XRP in a world where you have these other assets that are able to, sort of seamlessly do fast, quick, cheap transactions across borders?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked this because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think the way Ripple uses XRP is as a bridge currency. And whether you have a digital fiat, whether it's a tokenized, as some countries are investigating, or you don't have it tokenized, you still have that friction between currencies. So from my point of view, it's actually great to see central banks around the world investing in this space. And the more efficient the local rails are, the more demand there will be to have efficient cross-border rails. So I look at this as a very positive development. I've spoken publicly about some of the work that Ripple is doing in partnering with, in some cases consulting with central banks around the world to help them think through. And look, the XRP ledger is an extremely efficient ledger. And the ability to issue new assets and new tokens, if you will, on the XRP ledger is very straightforward. And that was part of the original design. So I feel very good about where the world's going in that regard, and I think it actually helps Ripple's business and how we're using the XRP ledger.
So, in this sort of worldview that you're pitching, would it be that you have, say a U.S. digital dollar at some point, you've got a digital renminbi, and then XRP would sort of act as that bridge that people would swap into to go into those patchwork of different central bank digital currencies, or maybe you could just zero in on that.
Yeah, look, if you think about it, whether or not a central bank is a tokenized digital asset or it is a currency, you still have the need to have liquidity and settlement between other currencies. So, but my viewpoint is when these central banks are experimenting with and in some cases moving forward deploying a central bank issued digital asset, I don't think it changes anything for how Ripple is going to market. In fact, I think in some ways it helps because, again, as I said, the more efficient your local rail is, the more demand there'll be for efficient cross-border transactions. And managing that liquidity, today, you've got liquidity between 100 different currencies around the world. If you can have liquidity with one that then has that bridge to lots of currencies around the world, that can be managed much more efficiently. So I don't think it changes anything substantial. The other thing, by the way, I'll just point out, and I've talked about this a little bit publicly. I've always been a little bit curious about some of the central bank, being clear about what problem you're trying to solve. If you are the bank of Bob and you go to the Fed window here in the United States, you're not getting a pallet of printed dollars. You're getting a ledger entry, a digital ledger entry that you're borrowing money from the Fed, and then most of your currency on your balance sheet is digital. And so I think being really clear about what problem you're trying to solve with a central bank issued digital asset is very important. And that's been the foundation of the conversations we've had with central banks around the world.
A couple of years ago, you took a big stake in a company called MoneyGram that does remittances and cross-border transactions. You've wound down that relationship, as I understand. But what learnings have you gleaned from that partnership?
So MoneyGram was one of our kind of leading customers as we launched what we call ODL, on-demand liquidity, enabling remittance companies, enabling financial institutions to not have to pre-fund accounts around the world. A lot of people don't know how money moves around the world, but in general, it's all pre-funded. This is money that has been pre-funded around the world. There's about $10 trillion pre-funded in accounts around the world so that you can issue debits and credits, typically using what we call the SWIFT network, your messaging around the SWIFT network. So with MoneyGram, we're able to partner with them and demonstrate how you can use XRP liquidity, how you can use this to make it not need to pre-fund and make it very efficient, very fast. And we proved that out. And the investment we made in MoneyGram also worked out really, really well for us. Ultimately, as you referenced, as a U.S. company, MoneyGram understandably looked at the SEC's actions here in the United States and decided, hey, we're gonna pause this, and so we mutually agreed, hey, let's wind down the partnership for now. If and when there's clarity with the SEC, I expect we'll revisit that. And again, as I said, even since the SEC brought their lawsuit, we've signed up lots of competitors to MoneyGram and other portals around the world.
So I've got to ask you this as well. Given that during 2017, when there was this just boom of ICOs, initial coin offerings, you came out and you were pretty down on them. You said a lot of them were scams. I've got to ask, just because right now we're living in this moment where there's a new craze, the NFT craze of non-fungible tokens. It's quite different from the ICO mania that we had in years past. But I've got to get your thoughts on it. Some people think it's ridiculous. Other people think it's the next coming of social networks and managing economics online. Where do you stand on this NFT mania, and do you own any yourself?
I'm a believer that NFTs are definitely here to stay. I think that there are so many use cases. Again, one of the things I've talked a lot about is being clear about who's the customer, what problem are you solving. And I do think with NFTs, you're solving a problem. And that I'll talk about collectibles. I don't know what things you may be interested in collect, but growing up, I had a baseball card collection, and the ability to trade baseball cards is very high friction. If you're able to issue an NFT associated with each individual baseball card, the tradability of that goes way up. When you're talking about artists, collectibles, music, there's a lot of use cases here that are very compelling. And certainly you've seen some hype about NFTs right out of the gates. But I think NFTs are definitely here to stay. And certainly we are doing things as we partner with the XRP Ledger community to make sure the XRP Ledger can support that. So I will point out that one of the problems that artists and creators have been sensitive to is that the fees, and this is part of the inefficiency and the energy costs of some proof of work blockchains, make it hard to scale into long tail collectibles because if the fees or the charge for NFTs are too high, that makes it difficult to scale that business.
There are some blockchains that are moving from proof of work to proof of stake, like Ethereum, and they're hoping that this is actually going to bring down the fees that you cited. I wonder what your long-term prospects are for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for various other cryptocurrencies, given the sort of technological changes they're seeking to implement. What you're bullish on?
Well, look, I'm bullish on the whole industry. I certainly continue to believe in the category overall. I think as you described, there is a need, I think, to be intellectually honest about how proof of work and the energy consumption and by extension the carbon footprint. There are some already Bitcoin miners coming out saying, hey, we're only going to be renewable. And so I have certainly been vocal, but just personal passion around the issue of climate change and trying to be really honest about, hey, what does proof of work mean to these industries? What is the carbon emissions? And let's be intellectually honest and own that and figure out how to address it. As you pointed out, the Ethereum community and their migration from proof of work to proof of stake is kind of ahead of the game there, and I'm certainly bullish on the work they're doing.
Brad, thank you so much for all of your time. I want to just hit you with one last question before we part. Last year, you mentioned that you might be moving Ripple outside of the U.S. at some point if the country didn't figure out its regulatory situation. Is that something you're still mulling? A possibility you are still thinking about?
Well, we certainly have, as you and I discussed, most of our customers are outside the United States, and we certainly are growing the company much faster outside the United States than here in the U.S. I'm hopeful that we'll get to closure here in the U.S. and either through legislative efforts or through court efforts, we'll have that clarity and certainty to allow us to continue to invest in blockchain and crypto industry here domestically.
Excellent. Brad, thank you so much for all of your time today.
Good to see you.
When Elon Musk said buy Dogecoin,
Okay, guys. I'll
he wasn't joking.
I'll leave the link down in the description field. But there you go. It talked about bigger markets in Southeast in Asia, India, Africa, the Middle East. I think if you combine all of that, it's bigger than the United States. Truly, the United States is truly a power. It's a powerhouse. It's a global powerhouse in consumables, purchasing power, and you can't really ignore it. I think Ripple should focus on the United States. They can do a dual chapter where they can move into other countries and still keep a home base in the United States. You can't really ignore the United States or get away from it. So again, in summary, I'm making an analogy with this oil company. When they went bankruptcy, the stock dropped from, I think it was like $26 down to less than a penny within a 2-year frame. And if the case had not concluded and I had bought, $1,000 worth of common stock in that oil company at less than a penny, and it got discharged from Chapter 11 bankruptcy, I potentially could have made $500,000. And I'm being very honest. I'm not manipulating any truth to this, but I see the same thing going on with XRP. The price here for XRP is $1.18 right now, today being August 31st, and I'm recording this at about 12:30 p.m. Once it gets out of the SEC lawsuit, I see this taking off. It's ranked 6 on CoinMarketCap with a $54 billion market cap. Dogecoin is at 36 billion, and yet it's trading at 27 cents. So, there's only a $20 billion difference there, and XRP is already doing, it's doing a lot better than what Dogecoin is doing. So I can see this going over once it comes out of the SEC lawsuit. I have a feeling that it's going to moon, and to what level, I will not tell you what it is, but I am planning to invest a lot into this as best as I could, notwithstanding to have to pay my personal living expenses. But I like XRP. The person being interviewed, I like what he was saying. It's very, his foot is on the ground, and he's got experience in the legal field as well as operational and I'm sure finances. And they've been in the game for 10 years. Okay, so one last thing. I am not advising you to invest. I'm not providing any accounting or legal advice on my channel. This is purely for entertainment, but at least I would appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel and hit the like button or leave a comment. I believe that I'm the only YouTuber that responds to my comments, and I'll give you the best response that I can. And stay tuned for further videos. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.